Hi, this is a video about a few tips for the Cheltenham 2018 Festival, and in amongst my tips a few things that I've noticed during the festival. So I've given myself a bank of £400 for the 6 bets that I'm going to give you at the moment. There's certain races aren't in it at the moment due to the not knowing what runners are going to run. So I'll just run through a few themes that I have as I do the video, but I'll get the first bet out of the way. A few people might turn off after getting this first bet, but I've given myself a bank of £400, and the first bet will be £20 each way on the Petit Mouchoir in the Arkle at 7-2. A lot of people will be thinking, £20 each way, that's a crazy bet. Well, for me, there's 5 runners that have a chance, and Petit Mouchoir is one of the ones that's got a better chance out of the 5 than some. So I think he'll place. He's the best hurdler out of them all. He's been looked after on his comeback run this season after winning his first chase. He wasn't knocked about once he was behind footpad. He'd made a mistake, and I think on the better ground he can perhaps make that ground up. The other horses that have got a chance in the race, Calvados, is going to get a bit of a shock coming into this after running in small field races that he's dictated the pace in on better ground. I think he might just get caught out a little bit like Kalashnikov got caught out in the Tolworth, and that race made a man of Kalashnikov, and I think this race might make a man out of St Calvados, but I think it might make a man out of him at his cost in this race. So for me, he's knocked out. So Royal is a horse who's never done it really when it's mattered, and although he's got good form and a lot of people will fancy him, he's not for me. Brain Power's got a bad prep for this. He's fallen, and Seated Rider, sorry, in his last race. He's had a wind up, and although I respect the connections a lot, he wouldn't be for me, and I think Petit Mouchoir will place. So £20 each way stake. What am I doing that for? Well, for me, you're going to get £34 if he places, which I'm fairly confident he will. And I'm going to get 124 if he wins the race. At that, £6 loss to make an £84 profit is the way I'm looking at it. Obviously, if he doesn't place, that's going to be the whole 40 gone, but I'm quite confident he will place. He's got a great trainer, he's got a very good jockey, and this has been the target, and I think he's got a very good chance. So he'd be my first bet at £20 each way at 7-2 on him. I'll add things in as I go through the bets. So that's the first bet. If you're looking for help to do well at the festival, 2 things I'd look at. Firstly would be last year's festival, watch those races back, and also the festival guides have a lot of good stats in them that'll help you to help your betting, help you make the selections that are the correct selections, and also give you little views that help you along the way. I looked at one last night, and a stat that came straight screaming out at me was that only 3 of the 28 winners were a bigger SP than they were generally available in the morning. So that just gives you an indication. Get your bets off early in the morning at the best price. Make your selections and get the best price on them. On to the second bet then. This is another each way bet, pretty similar to the first one. £30 each way on Tiger Roll at 6-1 for the Queen for the cross country. This is a horse that seems to be just gaining momentum in the betting constantly as the days go by. He's had a fairly similar prep to Causa Causes in a lot of ways, and although I fancied Causa Causes at the start of the year to repeat his win in the race, the more I look at this horse in the betting, he seems to have a lot of momentum behind him. He seems to have been laid out for the race exactly like Causa Causes was last year. He's run over the fences in November. He's been back over for prep just this month, and I think he just seems like the momentum horse to me. Cause of Causes looks like his big day is going to be the Grand National. And I just think 6-1 on Tiger Roll, who won the National Hunt Chase last year, taking 4 of the fences back to Ireland with him. He's a strong stayer. He looks to be laid out. He's 6-1. I think he'll contract in odds, and I'm prepared to have £30 each way on him. I'm also going to have a £10 each way double the two, because I think they'll both place, and I think they've both got realistic chances of winning. That's the first two bets of the 6. The other things I'd say to look at, the Irish horses are dominating the festival. They've won the Presbytery Cup last year, 19-9. It's going to be very difficult for the British horses to make that ground up. So 4-6 for the Irish horses to win the Presbytery Cup actually is looking quite a good bet. It's a difficult race meeting to make money in. You've got to be doing your very best to make money. As I said, getting the best odds in the mornings, an angle. And another angle is not to be betting with the bookies at the track. They're just Betfair slaves. All they're doing is taking your bet, putting it off at slightly bigger odds on Betfair, and so because they've got less commission than you, it's easier for them to make money on it. But they're not betting to a book. You're not going down these and seeing real value bets. When I went to Cheltenham at first, you could go down those bookies and see 25-1 on a horse, but 66-1 on another board, and 50 on another board, and 40 and 33. That doesn't happen anymore. They're now just betting to Betfair. They don't have a view themselves at all. They're not prepared to take a horse on. They're just taking their little bit of the margins, really, and that's it's quite sad, but it's the truth. And if you're a punter trying your best to make money, then that's what they're at, and you have to know that. You have to be putting everything in your power into winning, and betting at the track doesn't seem to be the way to go. It's either the best price in the morning or weighing that up against the Betfair price. Better liquidity at this sort of meeting. You might be able to get the price you want and the amount on that you want on Betfair. Place terms might not be quite as good as what you're going to get, and you have to weigh all that up and see what you want to do. Obviously, the horse you're betting in a handicap should really be one you think is going to win, and the place is just to get your stake back. For a punter like myself, at least. Not saying I'm the best punter in the world. I'm just trying to make a profit like everyone else. I've done well at Cheltenham. I've done very well at some Cheltenham festivals, and I've done poorly at others. And I'll get onto that. I'll give you another bet first, and then I'll maybe get on to what Cheltenham's like. The next bet is the Coral Cup, and it's on William Henry, who I think is progressing very quickly now. He's been taken back from chasing by Nicky Henderson, who did this last year with Bouvedere and to win the champion hurdle. But I think part of the William Henry bet is that he was a very highly regarded horse last season who didn't seem to fulfil the promise that he seemed to have, and this season he is fulfilling that promise very much so, and the Lanzarote win's been franked everywhere. It looks very good for him. Of course there could be a horse in here that's better handicapped than him, but I think he's very well handicapped. I think he's got still a bit to go to progress further. He's going to have a great jockey in either Davy Russell or James Bowen, taking 3 off him, and for me he's well worth the bet at 12-1. I think he's a very, very good horse that has a lot more to offer yet, and this is usually won by a good horse. Last year it was won by a graded horse, a horse that's in the Stayers Hurdle this year. So I think William Henry's a good bet in that at 12-1. I'd definitely be taking that price. The £30 each way and £40 win stake that I've put on it. People maybe wonder about that stake. The £30 place bet is just to get my stake back. I mean, a lot of people would say, well, why not 25 each way and 50 win? And that's a possible thing that I might do as well. But for the sake of the video, I'll say 30 each way and 40 win at 12-1 and William Henry. You got to take a view on certain horses, and that's the view I've got. When I've been saying about it's difficult to make money at Cheltenham. It's not an easy meeting to go to and make money. It's not a license to print money or anything. It's very tough. I mean, I think anything that you put off for this meeting, or the money you've put aside for this meeting, you've got to be prepared to lose it all, and try to be reasonable, at least to be happy leaving the meeting if you do lose it all. I mean, it's not a nice feeling, but you shouldn't be going into this betting money you can't afford to lose. And I know that you can lose it all, and I'll give you a bit of a cautionary tale about Cheltenham Festivals. I used to travel down by aeroplane to Bristol, and I used to meet some very, very shrewd punters in the airport before I went, and they weren't proper friends of mine, but they were guys I knew, and I knew they were feared by local bookmakers. The independents didn't want anything to do with them, and the likes of Ladbrokes and Hills and that, they weren't keen to take their bets, and they'd have other people putting the bets off for them and that. And anyway, I met them in the airport, and we were having a chat, and I'd done well at the previous few festivals, and I was maybe a wee bit too sure of myself. So anyway, we're off, and we're talking about the horses we backed, and they've said that they've had certain bets, and I've had certain bets, and the best bet they'd had, and they were very confident about it, was my 10 or yours for the Supreme at 10-1, and they'd had substantial money on, and I hadn't had a bet in the Supreme, so I was watching the race, and I thought for sure my 10 or yours was going to win. Champagne Fever was out in front, but he looked a sitting duck, to be honest, to my 10 or yours. But as they came up the hill, it became quite apparent that no matter how much my 10 or yours was pulling out, Champagne Fever was pulling out that little bit more, and their bet lost. Now, over the course of the next 3 days, it got progressively worse for them and for me, and by the time I met them on Friday morning to travel home before the racing on Friday, we were chatting in the airport. They'd lost every bet they'd put off. I'd lost every bet I'd put off. So it's not an easy race meeting to go to. They said to me, "Oh, we're not having any bets today. We've got one anti-post bet off. That lost for them." I was fortunate in a way, because I had a anti-post bet that got me, let's say, it got me 20% of my losses back. So I lost 80% of the money that I bet at that meeting that year. And I consider myself to do all right at Cheltenham. So I lost 80% of my stakes at Cheltenham that year. And I had to be prepared to lose it. They lost everything. It's not an easy meeting to be trying to make money. I'm not making this video saying, "Oh, this is a license to print money, just back all the horses I give you and you'll win." Because that's not the way it is. I mean, they might all win, I hope they do, but I wouldn't be putting too much money on the whole lot winning. Anyway, on to the fourth bet. This is just a bit of a hunch bet. I can't really give you a lot of insight into why I've put this off, but it's a smaller bet and it's a good price, and that's why I've put it off. But it's in the Pertemps final. It's on Beat That at 25-1, £15 each way and £10 to win. I just feel it's been laid out for this, and it's been put in a Pertemps qualifier for a reason, and it's not really, well, it's not run any races where you'd say, "There you go, that's why I fancy it." It just seems a bit of a plot to me, and I'm quite prepared to take the bet at the big odds. So just £15 each way and £10 to win. Nothing too harsh on it, but I think it's a bit of a plot, and I'm prepared to put the £40 out to find out if it is a plot or not. Why have I not got bets in other races apart from the ones I'm giving you? Some of the reasoning behind that is the novice races the fields are not certain, set in stone. There's too many runners that could go for the JLT or the RSA that restrict you from finding any sort of value in the markets, because you bet Monley at 4-1 thinking it's a good bet, and then 4 horses you didn't expect to run because you thought they were going to go in the JLT, go in the RSA, and you've not got any value anymore. You've actually bet a horse that's underpriced. That's why I've not bet any of those horses. Similarly, in the novice hurdles, Sam Crow's been declared to run in Ballymore to try and scare horses away. And that can cause discrepancies in the market that you don't really expect, and it makes you find difficult decisions. Like, I expected Next Destination to go on the Albert Bartlett. I would have thought On the Blind Side might be an each way bet then, but now it looks like Next Destination's going to run in Ballymore. So until you can weigh those sort of things up, because if you think that Next Destination is a probable to place, then all of a sudden you've got Sam Crow, Next Destination, and On the Blind Side, and you've got all these other horses like Black Op that can come in, and that makes me feel like I'm not having a bet in those races until I know what the field makeup is in these races, because it's just a bit too difficult. I'll go on to something else regarding that after the next bet, but I'll give you the next bet first and then go into that. So the next bet in the Ryanair, I can get a quarter of the odds on the place in this, and I'm prepared to have £20 each way on Cloudy Dream at 16 to 1. He's on the edge of being value for me. He was value last week for me, and then all of a sudden horses seem to be coming into this that I didn't expect, and I'm becoming a bit concerned that he's only a correct price, or maybe just a shade of value now. Q Card, I wasn't expecting him to run in here, although I think he might be a little bit marked by a war that he ran in at Ascot 2 weeks ago. I don't see waiting patiently running in this. I think Ruth Jefferson's shrewd enough to take him away for the season, I hope, but certainly I don't think she should run on a bit faster ground at Cheltenham. The calls for him to run there from people who they just want to see the best horses run against each other all the time, but for me this is a small yard with a potential superstar, and look after him, take care of him, and hopefully he'll take care of them for their care of him. So for me, I wouldn't run waiting patiently. I think Cloudy Dream is a good horse. He's been running over too far. 3 miles is too far for him. He's been called a lot of names because of his runs over 3 miles, but I think he's got a good chance coming back into this. I don't think it's the greatest race in the world. I think Top Notch will be marked by the Ascot race as well. Unde So's a year older, and although he's a worthy favourite, he's a bit short for me. So I'm prepared to bet Cloudy Dream. He's got a good run in the Arkle last year, as I say. Festival form travels, and I think he's got a good chance. So I'll take my chances at a quarter of the odds, £20 each way. The other horse I did look at is Balco de Flo, but he's been on the go a long time this season, and although Leary would like to win his own race, I'm prepared to leave him out at this stage. Just go with Cloudy Dream, £20 each way, 16 to 1. I was saying there's certain angles I use in part of the reason that I've not given a bet in the amateur riders races either. They're very good races to bet in as long as you can get your bet on at a reasonable time frame when the price is still half decent. I mean, you look at Dunicos for the 4 miler and it looks like a good bet, and it's a Gigginstown horse, so it's highly likely to get a very good jockey. But there's other horses there like Elegant Escape and things like that if they got a good jockey, they'd be an absolutely fabulous bet. But if you don't get a good jockey in this race, then you're not beaten before you start. That's not the correct thing to say, but a lot of people wouldn't have had the guts to sit Manila Rocco where he was for the majority of the race, and Jamie Codd did, and that's because Jamie Codd knew they were going a bit too fast. Jamie Codd knew what he had under him. Derek O'Connor knows these sort of horses, but if you've got an inexperienced jockey, you're on a hiding to nothing, even if you've got a good horse, because if he can't judge the pace as well as what you need, then it's highly unlikely the horse is going to win. And even if you can have the best horse in that sort of race getting beaten just by the jockey, and not disrespectful to the jockeys, but some of these guys are out there every day, and some of them are just out there once every 3 months, and it's just the difference. So just be careful with that sort of things, that they can affect your bets and really make a big difference. So that's the reason there's no bets in those sort of races. Before I give the final bet, I'd say be very, very aware of the Irish handicappers. They've got a fabulous record at Cheltenham. 25% of the runners last season for 70% of the winners, and level stakes profit betting them all. Quite a few graded horses run in handicaps last year, so definitely horses to look out for. And with that in mind, pay special attention to the Gigginstown horses in the Plate and the Martin Pipe. They've got a good record in that, with strong staying types, that maybe 3 milers that are in the 2 mile 4 race, and they'll sit them in just behind the pace and have good jockeys on and tend to be well backed. So just keep your eye on those. Also keep your eyes on the Mullins runners in the hurdle handicaps, especially the County, where he seems to have a great record, and never dismiss a second, third or fourth string of his in the County, because he's had 1000 Stars, Wicklow Brave, Arctic Fire, all bigger priced. So keep your eye on those type of horses for those type of yards. Anyway, on to the final bet of mine for this video. It's a bet that some people will disagree a lot with and some people will agree with. It's £100 on Mike Bite for the Gold Cup at 72, and a lot of people will be saying, oh, what about what he did in the RSA last year? Yeah, I appreciate that. I saw it. It wasn't good, but he still won. And they'll say that his form this season's not been of the best. He's won both races. He only beat Double Shuffle a length, but it was in the recognised best trial for the race. He's won. I don't want Nico de Boinville to beat him up when he's winning. I can't forget what he did in the RSA from the 4th last to the last. People are going on about what he stopped, but how far would he have won the RSA before? And anyone that thinks that Nicky Henderson and Nico de Boinville are just sort of like hoping that he won't do it again are probably mistaken. I'm sure they've done a lot of things and a lot of work with that horse to try to stop him from thinking he can go out the exit. I don't think it's got anything to do with whether he'll stay. I don't think he was tired. I think he's just got a mind of his own, and he thought that he was going home before the race was finished. And it is a worry, but if he hadn't done it, he'd be 6-4 favourite for the Gold Cup today, because his price would never have been what it was over the winter, and with his 2 wins this season, he would never ever be 7-2 at the moment for the Gold Cup if he hadn't done that. And that's affecting his price a lot. I mean, to be honest, I think he'd be about 6-4, 7-4 for the Gold Cup if he hadn't done that at Cheltenham last season. So he's the final bet of my mythical £400. So I'll just run down the bets again quickly for you. £20 each way, Petit Mouchoir, Arkle, 72. £30 each way, Tiger Roll, Cross Country, 6-1. £10 each way double on the 2 of those. £30 each way, £40 win, William Henry, 12-1 for the Coral Cap. £15 each way, £10 win, Beat That, 25-1 for the Pretemps final. £20 each way, Cloudy Dream, at 16-1 for the Ryanair. I've got that at a quarter the odds, and that's quite important if you can get that. And £100 win, Mike Bite at 7-2 for the Gold Cup. So the festival is something to be enjoyed. I mean, 2 weeks to go, I'm excited already. So like I said, it's not easy to make money, but it's something to be very, very excited about. It's something to have a bank for. Like I've said, you can't lose that whole bank. Don't go into this meeting thinking you've got to make a profit that with money you can't afford. If you can't afford it, don't bet it. Just reduce your stakes, because this is a minefield at times. We still don't know what the ground's going to be. I mean, a lot of my bets are based on hopefully good to soft ground, and I'd start to worry if that was on soft to heavy side, then a lot of these bets might not look very good. But I've had to take a stand, take a view. I like to take a view, actually. I'm very opinionated and at times controversial, but for the sake of this video, I've put my bets on hoping that I'm going to get good to soft ground, and that's my bets. I'm not someone that's going to give you 3-4 horses in a race and then say that, oh, I picked a 6-4 winner and I give you a winner, and that's not giving people advice. That's not going to make me look good. And I'm not wanting people to bet these horses and put the stakes on that I've put on. It's just a mythical bank so that people can judge me and see if I'm any good, if I know what I'm talking about, if I'm rubbish. To be honest, I still think I know what I'm talking about, even if they don't win. To be honest, like I've said, you can lose your whole bank at Cheltenham. I've explained the bets and why I've put them off, and if I get a lot of views, or quite a substantial amount of views, and some comments that make me think I should make another video closer to time, then I will. If not, I'll say enjoy your festival, have fun, bet carefully and enjoy it. Thank you for watching.